Everything changed as soon as the video appeared on social media. Fans who believed they had witnessed every chapter of the love and hip-hop drama suddenly realized this story might not be over. Timelines stopped, and comment sections exploded. Two names that were never meant to come together like this. One fuzzy video, and one purported overnight link. Mendeecees Harris and Erica Mena. No one is saying it did indeed occur. The internet is doing what it does best, turning rumors into a full-fledged storm, but no one is confirming anything, and the rumors are growing louder by the hour. Fans are horrified by what they think it implies rather than what is actually displayed. A story that seems too disorganized, too dramatic, and too precisely timed to ignore an alleged night, an alleged connection. Already under tremendous scrutiny due to her arrests, public repercussions, and constant headlines, Erica Mena finds herself at the center of yet another viral event. Social media users start making connections between seemingly unrelated things when a purported night spent video starts making the rounds. Was it just a coincidence? Was it pursuing clout? Also, was this the point at which everything got out of hand? Then there is Mendeecees Harris, a name associated with convoluted history, debate, and loyalty. Fans didn't anticipate his name being brought up in this type of discussion, much less being connected to Erica in a way that ignited the blogs. Reactions came in quickly. Curiosity, indignation, disbelief, and one question that reverberates throughout. What is actually happening in the background? Feelings. While detractors hone their hypotheses, Ranhaya followers rush to defend their favorites. Some claim that this is just another illustration of how rapidly rumors become into news stories. Some maintain that there is still more to the narrative that hasn't been made public. Fans feel as though they are seeing the opening scene of a story that could turn much darker. Families remain silent, and pals send mysterious messages, because the truth is frequently the first casualty when purported videos go viral and names get mixed up. The internet is refusing to let go this time. There was no verification or corroboration at the start of the story. There was buzz at first. It starts out quiet, gets louder, and eventually becomes unavoidable. Vague captions began to appear on blogs. Fan pages gave the impression that something was about to happen, and all of a sudden, timelines were inundated with the same query, phrased differently. What actually took place that evening? Everyone was expressing ideas, but no one was asserting facts, and that in and of itself was enough to make conjecture into a spectacle. Erica Mena was already under constant observation. Within minutes, every video she appeared in, every post she made, and every poignant caption were analyzed. She had endured enough and deserved peace, according to several supporters who felt protective of her. Others said that her recent actions revealed disarray and unresolved rage. People were therefore ready to draw conclusions, when a little video that purportedly showed her with Mendeecees Harris late at night started making the rounds. The footage suited the story they were already anticipating, not because it proved anything. It was not what was obviously seen that caused the clip to blow up, but rather what was not. Audio that is muted, blurry video, and shadows rather than faces. Social media detectives linked timestamps from unrelated articles, slowed it down, zoomed in, and compared clothing from previous posts. All of a sudden, timelines were being created at random. Fans are startled by how rapidly belief can grow when curiosity meets drama, not because they believe the clip. It wasn't long before commentators clarified that nothing had been verified. The chats were dominated by terms like rumored, apparently, and supposedly. However, those remarks had little effect in putting out the fire. The concept of an overnight link took on a life of its own once it was made public. Reaction channels chimed in, some cautioning viewers to proceed with caution, while others embraced the mystery. Supporters of each had strong feelings. Parties fought, accusing one another of blind allegiance and prejudice. Erica felt more burdened by this time than by previous rumors. Online, her close friends intimated that she was fed up with being misinterpreted. Posts about being judged without knowing the whole situation started to arise. Some fans interpreted the remarks as an expression of remorse, while others saw them as a way to express their annoyance at misleading storylines. In any case, the silence merely encouraged conjecture. Without explanation, it seemed like the internet was adding a new twist every hour. Mendeecees Harris turned into an unanticipated focal point. Even seasoned viewers were unprepared for the shockwave that resulted from his name rising alongside Eric, who were aware of his past, wondered why he would ever be connected to such rumors. Others reminded everyone that closeness does not equate to intimacy, arguing that affiliation does not equate to involvement. However, the harm caused by suggestion has already been done. It is almost impossible to remove a name from the rumor cycle once it has entered it. Unintentionally, friends and coworkers increased the tension. A story removed too soon. A like on a post here, an unfollow there. Every digital action was seen by fans as a hint. Some claimed that the so-called "the story of the night spent" was being overdone to get clicks. Others thought the timing was too strange to be completely disregarded. The silence that ensued, rather than the words made in public, caused division within the family. Reaction video dialogue reverberated on various media. "This is exactly how rumors ruin reputations," claimed one speaker, while another retaliated. "If it was nothing, why not put an end to it right away?" These divergent points of view bounced off one another incessantly, creating a loop in which no response felt adequate. Previous conflicts were brought up again, not as proof, but as background information that people used to support their presumptions. Behind the scenes, sources stated that everyone was aware of the rumors but decided not to confront them directly. Some contend that addressing rumors only gives them more oxygen. A casual conversation from weeks ago was suddenly framed as foreshadowing, screenshots from unrelated events were repurposed. Captions were rewritten, and fans were left reading between lines that may not have existed. What made this moment particularly intense was how it intersected with Erika's recent public image. Critics claimed that her emotional openness made her an easy target. The overnight angle became symbolic rather than literal, signifying control, judgment, and the way women's private lives are scrutinized more harshly than men's. According to supporters who argued that vulnerability shouldn't be punished. As the days passed, the rumor did not go away, but rather changed as new accounts reposted the video and added their own interpretations. No concrete evidence surfaced, but the discussion continued to expand. It was no longer about a single night, but rather about trust, perception, and the speed at which public opinion can change. By the time fans realized that some claimed there was more footage, others insisted the original video was being taken out of context. In the midst of all of this, Erika's name continued to trend, linked to a story that might never have been. More than a rumor, amplified by timing and tension. Others doubled down, convinced that where there is smoke, there must be fire. Still others felt embarrassed for believing too quickly, moving forward, not because of facts, but because of momentum. Once momentum takes hold in a world driven by clicks and reactions, it rarely slows down on its own. Conversation changed when people began to ask why this rumor felt different from the innumerable others that come and go. Normally, speculation burns quickly and fades just as quickly. But this one lingered, and many pointed to timing. Erika Mena was already in a precarious public moment. In the world of reality TV, Mendeecees Harris was a name that carried weight, history, and loyalty. When those two narratives collided, it attracted attention that viewers could not ignore. Reaction videos proliferated overnight, with some creators slowing down the purported clip frame by frame and narrating what they believed they saw, while others chose to avoid analysis and instead talk about the impact of rumors themselves. Reminded viewers that no one had confirmed anything and that purported footage can be deceptive. But the comments revealed a different story. Fans were taken aback, emotions were running high, and speculation turned into entertainment in real time. The abrupt resurfacing of old interviews and moments from previous seasons added fuel, with people pulling clips where Erika talked about betrayal, trust, and being unfairly judged. Mendeecees became the silent center of the storm. His lack of public response was interpreted in a number of ways. Supporters claimed that his silence demonstrated maturity and refusal to engage in gossip. Detractors claimed that silence implied avoidance. Neither side had proof, but both spoke with certainty. This certainty quickly spread, turning opinions into presumptive truths. It served as a reminder of how quickly conjecture can solidify into belief when left unchecked. Friends of Erika posted ambiguous messages about loyalty and betrayal. Fans instantly connected those postings to the rumor without naming names. Some thought the words were defensive, while others thought they were strategic, intended to divert attention. Every word and emoji was examined. Because of the timing, even posts that had nothing to do with the situation were drawn into the story. Imagined dialogue between the parties started to circulate in the comments sections. People wrote what they thought Erika would say if she addressed the rumor. Others scripted what Mendeecees might say if he decided to speak. None of it was real, but it shaped expectations. By the time actual statements were missing, that imagined fans conjectured about how loved ones might be responding behind closed doors. Would they be disappointed, angry, or laughing at how exaggerated everything had become? The family was left divided in public perception, not because of anything they said, but because silence invites projection. People often fill in the blanks with their own presumptions. Another twist appeared when some fans wondered where the video came from. Who posted it first, and why now? Theories ranged from deliberate sabotage to clout chasing, and some suggested the clip might have been staged or edited in a way that encouraged misinterpretation. Others rejected that notion, claiming that the internet constantly seeks to discredit uncomfortable truths. Again, there was no proof, only opinion layered upon opinion. Longtime viewers, weary of the cycle, expressed frustration at how quickly people turn speculation into condemnation. Some wrote that they missed the days when reality TV drama stayed on screen rather than spilling into real life. As days went by, new accounts started using the rumor as content bait. with captions hinting at secrets about to be revealed and thumbnails screaming exposure and betrayal. Others contended that public figures invite scrutiny by sharing so much of themselves. The debate shifted from the alleged night to accountability and privacy. Even though the majority of videos acknowledged that they were talking about reports and rumors, the language used blurred that line. Alleged became implied. Speculation sounded like confirmation. And viewers who scroll quickly frequently overlooked the disclaimers completely. Erica's prior behavior continued to be brought up, not as proof of wrongdoing, but as support for belief. Critics said patterns matter. The overnight link rumor became a symbol of everything people already felt about her, for better or worse. Supporters responded that growth is ignored when people want drama. This back and forth created an emotional tug-of war where nuance struggled to survive. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was treated as both victim and villain, depending on who you asked. Some claimed his name was being unfairly used to keep a story alive. Others thought that his reputation protected him from the scrutiny that Erica had to deal with head-on. This imbalance became another layer of discussion, with fans pointing out how differently men and women are treated in rumor cycles. Beneath all the noise was a straightforward truth that many seemed to forget. Nothing had been confirmed or proven, had emerged, no definitive statement had resolved the issue. Yet the story continued to spread, driven more by reactions than by facts. It demonstrated how news doesn't always need substance to flourish, only attention. The purported overnight narrative continued to change, taking on new forms as it traveled across platforms. At this point, the rumor was more than just what might or might not have happened. It was a mirror reflecting how quickly audiences choose sides, how quickly speculation turns into judgment, and how silence can be louder than denial. What began as a clip turned into a discussion about trust, image, and control. And with each retelling, the initial uncertainty became harder to see, buried under layers of interpretation and emotion. Curiosity and conflict, rather than confirmation, drove the story forward on its own, and as the rumor spread, something intriguing started to happen. People's attention gradually shifted from the purported night itself to motives, asking why this story existed in the first place rather than just what happened. Was it a coincidence that the clip surfaced at a time when Erica was already the subject of intense attention? Some fans began blaming the blogs themselves, claiming that some outlets thrive on blurred lines, where purported stories are framed just close enough to reality to feel believable. Screenshots of headlines were shared, showing how wording could steer perception without ever making a direct claim. Was it opportunistic timing, or was it just the internet recycling chaos? Chaos always performs. Even with disclaimers, phrases like caught, exposed, and leaked carried emotional weight. Fans are shocked not only by the rumor, but also by how easily language shapes belief. At this point, Erica's supporters became more vocal in their single quotes, reminding everyone that she had previously been involved in highly publicized conflicts and that many previous narratives later turned out to be inaccurate or incomplete. They contended that the current rumor was just another instance of her being used as an easy target. Emotions were running high as these supporters flooded comment sections, accusing critics of ignoring humanity and context. To them, this was more about public punishment than an alleged overnight link. On the other hand, critics fiercely retaliated, arguing that public figures must understand how perception works and that repeated controversy does not come out of nowhere, even though they acknowledged that nothing had been confirmed. One commenter summed it up by saying, "Image is currency, and once damaged, people will always assume the worst." This statement was repeated across platforms, almost becoming a debate slogan. People speculated about private conversations filled with frustration and exhaustion, and dialogue imagined between Erica and those close to her began to circulate again, time-framed as emotional confrontations. The distinction between storytelling and speculation became even more hazy. Mendeecees' name continued to trend, but in a different way. Instead of being the center, he became a measuring stick. Fans compared his silence to how others in comparable circumstances had reacted. Some applauded his restraint. Others said it was calculated distance. Some said his lack of involvement prolonged the rumor, allowing others to define the story for him. Once more, silence was seen as strategy by some and indifference by others. Another turn of events occurred when a different video related in content, but this incident demonstrated how easily misinformation attaches itself to existing rumors. Once a story gains momentum, even unrelated material can be pulled into its orbit. Similar in setting, fans mistakenly linked it to the same narrative, despite the fact that it featured different people. Confusion spread quickly before it was corrected, but the damage was done. Some viewers expressed discomfort at how far the conversation had gone, arguing that entertainment should not come at the expense of long-term emotional impact. Others dismissed this concern, arguing that public life has unavoidable consequences. Family dynamics became a subtle but potent undercurrent as fans speculated about how children and relatives might one day encounter these headlines. Even among fans, the family's opinions were split. Industry insiders offered their opinions without naming names. Vague remarks about clout culture, selective outrage, and rumor economies surfaced in interviews and podcasts. Listeners made connections, assuming these remarks were oblique references to the situation, whether deliberate or not. These remarks reinforced the idea that the purported overnight story was part of a larger pattern within entertainment media. Erica's single quotes as social media activity or lack thereof kept being scrutinized. When she posted something irrelevant, critics accused her of deflection. When she remained silent, they accused her of hiding. Supporters contended that no response would ever satisfy those devoted to a narrative. This catch-22 became a major talking point. No matter what decision she made, someone would frame it negatively. When fans started talking about not regret over an alleged night, but regret over decisions made publicly in the past, the emotional stakes increased. Some argued that Erica's candor had invited unrelenting criticism, while others countered that transparency should never be punished. This argument touched a nerve, particularly among viewers who saw reflections of their own experiences with gossip and misinterpretation. Mendeecees' circle was also dragged into conjecture, with people analyzing who stood close to him at events, who appeared in group photos, and who did not. Absences were treated as statements. Presence was treated as endorsement. The logic was inconsistent, but consistency was never the goal. Engagement was, and every new theory generated more clicks, comments, and noise. As the narrative grew heavier, some fans started to grow weary. Viewers questioned their own role in spreading unverified stories. But even this self-awareness did little to stop the spread because the story had grown larger than any individual reaction. They expressed frustration at how long the rumor had dominated timelines without any new information. This exhaustion sparked a counter-conversation about accountability in media consumption. By this point, the purported overnight connection had become less of a claim and more of a symbol, standing for everything that people debated in celebrity culture. Privacy versus transparency, silence versus defense, perception versus truth. Each side using the same rumor to support diametrically opposed conclusions. And the story found endless fuel in that contradiction. What was still evident was that the situation was no longer simply about Erica and Mendeecees. Rather, it had developed into a case study on how narratives form, grow, and solidify without confirmation. The internet had written chapters more quickly than reality could keep up, and once written, those chapters were hard to erase, even if the last page turned out to be factually incorrect. And as the noise persisted, a new layer of tension settled in, one that felt heavier but quieter. People began to wonder what would happen to the people whose names were dragged through speculation after the rumor machine had finished its job, when the timelines moved on and the blogs chased the next headline. This question lingered beneath the surface even as the commentary remained loud. Some fans noticed that the narrative itself had become the story, rather than asking whether the alleged overnight link was real. They discussed why such rumors spread so quickly, pointing out how quickly viewers accept suggestions when they match their preconceived notions. Confirmation bias subtly influenced reactions. Those who already thought Erica was chaotic saw the rumor as confirmation, while those who thought she was unfairly targeted saw it as another instance of character assassination. Erica's silence, which remained unbroken, took on new meaning depending on who was. Some saw it as self-preservation, while others saw it as avoidance. Supporters contended that answering every rumor would only exacerbate the situation, while detractors maintained that clarity would put an end to it. However, clarity itself became a myth because even a denial would probably be scrutinized, questioned, and twisted into a different angle. Mendeecees stayed out of the conversation, which increased curiosity. His name continued to circulate in conversations, sometimes framed as collateral damage, sometimes as a calculated presence. Fans debated whether his reputation protected him or trapped him. His lack of direct involvement made him a blank screen onto which people projected their assumptions. As a result, the rumor did not require participation to continue. Comment sections changed from being outraged to being analytical. People started thinking back to how quickly they had reacted when the clip first surfaced. There was a brief pause in the chaos as viewers questioned the system that rewards speculation over restraint. But the story did not vanish. Instead, it just settled into a slower burn. Some acknowledged that they shared posts without thinking, while others claimed they felt manipulated by dramatic language and suggestive reaction videos mentioned it in passing. Podcasts cited it as an example of internet culture gone crazy. The purported night became shorthand for how rumors spread. Even in the absence of new developments, the situation continued to be cited, demonstrating that impact does not always require updates. And emotions surged once more when conversations turned to accountability. Who was responsible when rumors spread? The person who posted the clip. The blog amplified it, and viewers clicked and shared. Opinions were sharply divided. Some claimed that public figures accept these risks by living in the spotlight, while others contended that a person's humanity shouldn't be taken away because they are famous. The family's beliefs were split, reflecting the division among fans. Another perspective on intent surfaced. Many questioned whether the original clip was ever intended to suggest what people assumed. Was it contextless content misinterpreted by a drama-loving audience, or was it purposefully framed to elicit precisely this reaction? In the absence of answers, intent became just another theory. But that uncertainty did not deter people from confidently taking sides. Erica's previous remarks about being misinterpreted reappeared, but this time they carried a different weight. Some viewers felt irony, others empathy. Her history of emotional expression was debated as either honesty or volatility. Both interpretations existed side by side, neither able to completely overpower the other. This duality kept the conversation alive, sympathy and skepticism. Mendeecees' past was also re-examined, not for proof but for contrast. Fans contrasted how various figures deal with rumors and what that says about control and an image. Some commended silence and distance as discipline, while others saw it as privilege. As days stretched into weeks, the purported overnight story became less about revelation and more about reputation. People discussed how long such rumors stick and what it takes to move past them. Some thought time erases everything, while others contended that the internet never forgets. These comparisons broadened the conversation beyond individuals, turning it into a more comprehensive critique of how narratives favor certain archetypes. It only archives. Screenshots, headlines, and reaction videos are still searchable long after viewers' interest. Wayne's longtime fans also showed a discernible change in tone, with many lamenting how quickly their enjoyment of reality TV drama turns into harm in the real world. They missed the times when conflict seemed limited to episodes and confessionals. Now, it was difficult to distinguish between entertainment and personal consequences. This discomfort did not prevent participation, but it did alter the way some people discussed it in private. A sense of inevitability began to permeate, and people appeared to accept that there would be no clear resolution, no dramatic confession, and no final reveal. Rather, the story would fade into memory, leaving behind impressions rather than facts. Some found this frustrating, while others expected it. What remained unquestionable was how potent suggestion can be. A single clip, a few words, and the right timing were enough to dominate conversation across platforms. It demonstrated how quickly narratives can form without confirmation, and how hard it is to dismantle once they take root. In the end, the purported overnight link served as a reminder rather than a revelation. A reminder of how isolation stories are constructed, how swiftly judgment follows, and how infrequently uncertainty is respected. The rumor fades silently or reappears later in a different form. Its impact has already been felt, and as the internet, the story may lose momentum. But the questions it raised about gossip control and belief will remain, waiting for the next headline to bring them back into focus. As the conversation continued to drag on, another layer subtly entered the picture, one that fans the long shadow of viral rumors. Once a name is linked to an alleged story, it doesn't just vanish when attention shifts, it lingers in search results, suggested videos, and comment histories. People started realizing that even if nothing is ever confirmed, the association itself becomes part of the public record. This split revealed a deeper tension between consumption and responsibility that plays out every time a story like this goes viral. Some viewers began to revisit their own reactions from the first day, admitting that they clicked out of curiosity, stayed out of shock, and commented out of emotion. Only later did they pause and ask whether they had contributed to something unfair, while others rejected that idea entirely, saying, "Discussion is not accusation." Erica continued to change subtly, using phrases like "it looks bad" and "the timing is strange" instead of direct charges. Supporters saw this change and called it hazardous, noting that implications can be more harmful than direct accusations since they are more difficult to refute. This softer framing allowed individuals to maintain mistrust without claiming certainty. Mendeecees continued to be a focal point for discussion, and his continued absence from the discourse took on a life of its own. While some fans contended that his reputation shielded him from more in-depth examination, allowing the rumor to focus more on Erica, others countered that it was unfair and opportunistic to bring up his name without proof. This argument demonstrated how power dynamics affect who suffers the greatest harm when stories break. Another wave of reaction content surfaced, concentrating on the response to the reaction rather than the purported event. The creators examined how quickly people took sides and how titles and thumbnails influenced perception, pointing out that even disclaimers can be overshadowed by sensational phrasing. Fans are shocked not only by the rumor itself, but also by how easily they were drawn into believing something without realizing it. Private life. Conversations about stress, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion emerged as people speculated about how those involved might be feeling away